Clinical or community? Which course is right for you? Today, Sam and I take a deep dive into our two main courses at Therapy Dogs Australia and answer some frequently asked questions we receive from individuals who are looking to study with us. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to another episode with Therapy Dogs Australia, the podcast. So we've got Sam.
Hi.
And myself, Max, here today, and we're going to just chat about some frequently asked questions that we get with our courses. About time for an update. Last time we sort of talked about all this, it was about a year ago. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's flown by.
It's actually crazy.
I don't know where the time went.
It's 10 months ago, almost to the week. That's wild.
Full on.
Oh. So I was just explaining to Max that some of you will know that Emily's been away, our wonderful admin person, last week and this week, and I'm doing the admin and it is a nightmare. So apologies to anyone who's waiting or has had to wait or has had their folders not correctly made. That's my fault. Please don't get angry at Emily when she gets back. But I thought it was a good timely reminder to touch on some of the frequently asked questions so that we can address these things for people without emailing back and forth, and you guys having to read a heap of stuff. You can just pop this podcast on and have a listen and figure out what we're doing. I'll try and make it snappy, but usually our podcasts aren't snappy, so bear with us. Bear with us.
We have a good time.
Have a great time. Okay. So one of the main questions that people ask is which course should they choose between our clinical and community courses. So it does explain on the website, so you can go and have a little read up of that. But basically, the clinical course is designed for like practicing therapists or educators who are doing animal-assisted intervention stuff. It's just, and people who are registered with regulatory bodies and they have to maintain their professional standards to their regulatory bodies. So that might be places like APRA or whatever. So that course is designed, it's just a little bit more intense and heavy on the regulation type stuff. And also it's a little bit more, we put a bit more focus on getting things to like your intervention design stuff and things like that. So
it's an extra day, isn't it?
It's an extra day. So it costs more, but it's designed for practicing professionals. If you're doing the group course, then you need to have some clinical experience under your belt. So because the group courses have group workshop discussions and stuff. So and you're presenting your ideas in a group and things like that. So it's usually too advanced for people who are still studying and don't have the clinical working experience. So if you're still doing your degree and you're not working in your field yet, it's probably not for you, because this is feedback that we get. I can see that people get lost in the conversations, but the feedback that we get is also that at times people feel overwhelmed because they're having these discussions with people that have been clinicians for 10 years, So to get the most out of it, you should do the community course so that you're, going to be talking with other people that are at the same career stage as you. We can make that decision generally on a case-by-case basis because people's career pathways are all different. So sometimes someone might be still doing their degree, but they've got 10 years experience or whatever, working in whatever field. And so they
they studied later.
Yeah.
So
upskilled. Yeah. Yeah. So, they might be a good fit for the clinical courses that are the group ones. If you really, so what I think probably what people don't really understand is the courses are the same. So the same content is delivered. The community course is designed for people. It's designed to be inclusive of people who don't have a higher education, and people who want to do visitation in the community and stuff. So like nursing home visits and stuff like that. So you might be an accountant and you want to take your dog to go and do nursing home visits. So you don't need to be a part of those discussions that we have in the clinical course. That's like the difference. The other thing is all of our like certificate and diploma educated career people. So they might be disability support workers, youth workers, whatever. Those guys go into the community course. I know that it's a tough line to draw because some people are probably like, oh, but I've got a diploma and, I have all these skills as well, which I understand that. And we're willing to discuss it on a case-by-case basis. However, there are times that people have gotten into the clinical course and have been completely overwhelmed with what's going on there. If you're really hell-bent on it, then do it self-paced, because then you get to spend that time one-on-one in your tuition instead of doing those workshops in the group. You can do it one-on-one, and then we can tailor it to your exact situation.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's same with students too. So if students or people that are still studying, if you want to do it and you're hell-bent on doing the clinical course, just do the self-paced one. It's going to be a lot. It's just trust me. Okay. Like I know that it's a really hard, it sort of feels exclusive, but it's not designed for that. It's designed to give every person who attends the most out of the courses. Do you know, it would actually save me / make me a lot more money to combine them. It is a pain in the ass to have them separated. Doing the yearly calendar is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a pain. Like, I wish that we could just have everybody in the same stream. And for those who don't know, we used to do that. We used to just have everybody in together.
Oh, I didn't know that. When did that stop?
There was no clinical and community streams. It was just therapy dog and handler course. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So one of the things that would happen is someone would, in a group setting, someone would say something or make a comment because they don't know that that's not appropriate and a clinically appropriate thing to say.
Oh, that's tricky.
Right. And so then you've got multiple clinicians with multiple years of experience and regulated by multiple bodies and whatever, sitting there feeling like it is actually an ethical thing, and we got to correct that comment or whatever, but we're in a group setting. So then I could see people get uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh yeah. So then I have to correct it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
In a group setting, because if I don't, all of those other professionals are going to be looking at me going, well, so she must think that's fine. Like, so she must think that that's acceptable. And it's like horrendous. Like, that's why we split them. This is back when we were doing face-to-face stuff, all face-to-face. That's why we split them, is because it's not fair on the person who they're not regulated by the same bodies. They don't have the same rules. They don't know what the rules are. Why would they? Like, there's a totally different field.
No experience.
They don't know that. Like, but as us all there in the, this professional development space and these things happening, it is something that's got to be addressed. And then, I could address it privately, but I have to be seen. Like, so when you're in group learning, as soon as a student makes a comment, the facilitator is in a position where they either need to correct the comment if it's incorrect or let it slide. But the problem with letting it slide is that the other people in the group are learning from that person's comment. So if someone says XYZ and I'm thinking, no, it's ABC, but I don't say anything, other people in the group go, oh, it must be XYZ because they said that.
Yeah.
So
and Sam didn't say react. Anything.
Yeah. So it makes group facilitated learning really tricky in that regard. And that's why I split it, is because I was like, this keeps happening. Like,
yeah, awkward.
So how horrible. Like it's really horrible, but it's because we've just got people from different backgrounds and different regulatory bodies and stuff like that. And yeah, we just had to do it that way. So, and initially when I split it, I made it anyone who was registered with AHPRA could do the clinical course, because that's what it was about. It was about, we've got a different set of rules. So we need to be discussing those things in that sort of field. But there's a number of disciplines that aren't AHPRA registered, but probably should be. And no one has any control over that. Like AHPRA just does whatever. So it was things like social workers, counselors, and I think speechies still aren't as well.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I know.
They were.
What? Well, they weren't. So I don't know. I haven't looked to see if they are now, but they weren't. So ludicrous, you know, like, so then what happened, because I was trying to help people understand, like, it's all well and good. You want to train your dog and take it into work with you, but you're AHPRA registered. You have to, you know, there's a professional standard, blah, blah, blah. You've got to be able to do your job to this standard with or without the dog. So, you know, we need to make sure that we're still providing X service to our clients, who oftentimes we're in private practice and they're paying for it. But even if they're not, you've got an ethical obligation to offer the service at this standard. And so if including a dog impacts the standard, you're in trouble. You're going to be in big trouble. So yeah, it's like a more serious sort of thing. But yeah, the regulation thing didn't work to split them. So I made it bachelor trained and above, bachelor trained and higher. And yeah, anyone who's not bachelor trained goes into the community stream. It's not a perfect system. If someone knows a perfect system, please email me.
Feel free to reach out.
Just at me, man. Like, I've been trying to figure it out for years. So if you could, hit me up and let me know the answer, that'd be great.
Sam, what if someone's studying and they're about to graduate? Where do they fit in? Would they still go community, or would they do self-paced clinical?
It depends, because some people are, you know, so they might be, for example, like a provisional psychologist. Let's think about this, okay? They've done their psychology degree, 4 years, and they're in their second year of their provisional internship, or they're in a master's program. The master's student, I'm going to get in trouble for this, the master's student is going to have less practical experience than the internship student. So they could still get lost in these. So the master's student may never have worked in a workplace being a provisional psychologist, whereas the intern will have. They will be working in a workplace, whereas the master's student probably be on placements and stuff like that. And yes, I know that that's very legitimate. I also have offered placements in the past, and I know that it's very different having someone on placement versus having an employee. I've got employees that are psychologists, provisional psychologists, and I've done placements, paid and unpaid placements of provisional psychs. So I do know the difference, and there is a difference. So whether that's okay to say or not, don't know, but probably not. But anyway, so it depends on the individual, but some people are doing that sort of pathway stuff but they've already been doing like disability support work for 3 years,
Yeah.
or
So
they've
they have
already
real
been
life. So it comes back to that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
like whatever workplaces they're in or whatever, it makes a difference as to how much like actual experience they've got. So yeah, it depends, which I know is really hard. I know that makes it hard, but if you're one of these people who's in that sort of gray area, let me know. But think of it this way, the community course is cheaper and it's like 4 days or 4 weeks compared to 5 days or 5 weeks. It's a cruisier environment, far less like the clinical guys cop it from us. Like they cop it like we're proper, like you need to be doing X, Y, Z. Like, you know, it's very, very important. You're going to get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. Community course is full
More
of people
intensive.
that it's far more intensive than the clinical course. Community course is those people, we're definitely giving the same messages of we need to be doing the right thing, obviously. The right thing by your participants and the right thing by your dog and the right thing by the industry and all these things. But if someone gets upset with them, so a participant of their service, it's unlikely that they are going to lose their registration as a professional because they don't have a registration as a professional. So whereas like psychologists and OTs, like when people get upset, they can report you to APRA and you can lose your registration, you know?
Yeah.
So the stakes are just a bit different for the person. So everything else is the same, but we just spend a bit more time in the clinical course, like really hammering it into the person that you've got to get this right. You've got to get it right. You've got to get it right. It's not, you know, it's just a bit more like that. Probably not explaining it very well, but that's pretty much how it goes. Great. So yeah, it depends. But if you think about it this way, if you don't need to do the clinical course, don't. So lots of teachers will do the clinical course, but lots of teachers do the community course. Other people who are in the community course is people like GPs. We put GPs in the community course because they're not doing therapy with their dogs. They're really more of a animal assisted activities role. So GPs, dentists, people that are in fields like that just because you've got, so sometimes people will be like, oh, but I've got a degree in geology, so I can do the clinical course. And I'm like, okay, but you don't need to. And also it's not a relevant degree. It's not like
it's not
going
to help you.
That's not really, that's not the point. It's not the point. Okay. So don't think of the clinical course as this prestigious, better than everybody. If that's not what it is, it's not that. It's those guys are getting hassled more from me about do it properly or else you're going to lose your career, which is true.
It's a darker course.
It is actually true. So, and those guys are talking about, you know, like they're practicing clinicians. So they're practicing OTs, practicing speeches, practicing psychs. Like, you know, we're talking far more clinical content stuff that like, yeah, a lot of other professions, even though they're bachelor trained, even allied health bachelor trained stuff, like a podiatrist does not need to do the clinical course. They can do the community course is a fantastic course. It's the same. It's all the modules are the same. It's exactly the same. There's just a little bit more like sort of clinical content in the clinical course, but the activities are the same. So you don't miss out on any of the activities. They're exactly the same. But they just have different role play examples, different case study examples and stuff like that. Stuff that's going to be more relevant to the people that typically that do that course. Teachers do the community course all the time. And like I said, like support workers and.
Are there any differences when people graduate in terms of what they graduate with?
It says on their certificate that they're either a clinical team or a community team, but that doesn't mean anything.
But it doesn't change.
It's like how we give people a level.
Yeah.
A Levels don't mean anything. We made them up. We're just like, we made up the community course and the clinical course. So it actually just helps me. I could just not put any of that on anything, and I could just categorize you as those things, because it helps me understand where you're up to. Like when we look at your file, when you come back for your reassessments or whatever, and we can look at it and go, oh yeah, that's right. This person did this training, and yeah, when they did their graduation, they got this level or whatever. Like, yeah, it's doesn't mean anything. And the reason it doesn't mean anything is because there's no regulatory body for therapy dog stuff yet. So there's no one to say you have to do a clinical training to do XYZ. Does that make sense? So like sometimes the dates for the community course suit people better. So they just do the community course and who cares? Like it really doesn't matter. If you are a clinician with, years of experience and stuff, you'll enjoy the clinical course because it's full of other clinicians the same. So lots of really cool discussions, like really cool stuff that goes down in the clinical course. But that's like the community course is like that. It's great as well. So, don't stress. People get stressed.
Not missing out.
Not really missing out on anything. You're going to have a better experience if you're placed in a course that suits you. And I'm happy to recommend that to people, but I just wanted to talk about it on here so people could have a think about it for themselves. But remember, so we do supervision. So sometimes like the students and that, like they want to know, oh, but I want to do clinical training, but I haven't finished my degree. So we'll do the community now. And then when you're finished, I can catch you up on that in like 2 hours of supervision, 3 hours of supervision, which you're going to have to do anyway. So like we have to do supervision anyway. So just do it on animal assisted stuff and you'll get caught up really fast because it's really not that different.
That's awesome that's there as an option.
Yeah. And I think it's cheaper. Like if you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to do the self-paced clinical course so that I can do the clinical course, it would be cheaper to do the group community course and then do some supervision like that, which would be individual, which would be better anyway. So, there's options, plenty of options. We try to make everything as accessible as possible. But yeah, anyone else who runs group trainings or things like that would understand that it does help if we've got groups that work well together. If our participants are matched, it does help the experience for the students. So that's why we try and do it. Like I said, it would be a lot easier if I could just yell at everybody about trying not to lose your job and career by doing stupid stuff the whole time. That's not really what happens, but yeah.
In a perfect world.
Amy runs most of the courses. So that should help you choose between clinical and community. We were offering more clinical courses throughout 2023. We had more clinical courses. I think we had 12, and we did 6 community courses. So there was less community courses on offer, but we've got, I'm just looking at my calendar. We've got 2 left for the year of community courses, November and December. And the others were, there was one in February and then the others were in the school holidays. So I think there's enough, there's enough there.
And then the self-paced, that's ever so slightly different to the group courses.
Well, both. So the way that we offer the courses, we've got typical, which is 1 day a week for 4 weeks or 5 weeks. We've got intensives, which is 5 days a week or 4 days a week. The intensive, so if you're choosing between typical or intensive, the intensives are intensive. So we get the feedback all the time. Look at the socials for the feedback. Like the feedback is always like, oh yeah, it was intensive. It's a lot. So it's a lot for you. It's not it used to be a lot for the dogs, but it's not now because we stretch out the training for the dogs. Doesn't really impact the dogs. But it's a lot for the human. So I'm the kind of person that would do an intensive. Like I'm the kind of person that just wants to get something done. So that's why we still offer them. But they are exhausting. So be aware of that. If you're a person that's going to get fidgety or, like get bored or get overwhelmed or those sorts of things, it is pretty exhausting. The typical I really like because I like the 1 day a week option for the students because they get a week to get their stuff done and think about things and
bring
ask questions. Bring questions back to the next week. That I think is my favorite delivery method because I think it's conducive to learning, I guess I probably still would like to attend one like that because it's online. If I had to drive somewhere 5 days for 5 weeks, I probably wouldn't want to do that. But anyway,
no one wants to drive anywhere if they don't have to.
Surely not. I don't like it. I just want to be at my house. So the self-paced, that would be a nightmare for me. I think I've mentioned that before. That would be a nightmare. I would never get it done. I would never ever get it done. So
I'm a self-paced person. That would be my selection. Yeah.
No way. No, thank you. A lot of my life is self-paced. The parts that don't get done. I'm a deadlines kind of girl. I'm that's got to be done yesterday kind of girl. So I would not get the self-paced done. But it's so popular. Far out. Everyone wants to do self-paced. I'm like, are you sure? Are you guys sure? Are you sure you're going to get any of this done? But they seem to be getting it done. So I guess it's a thing. I'm like, how are you guys doing this? Just by yourselves?
It's also bite size in comparison to other courses, which is like you can really
you could get it done in 5 days. You could. The way that the modules are designed, it's 5 modules for the clinical, 4 modules for the community. Easy, get it done in 5 days. So which is what people have been doing this school holidays, is they've been getting their content done and then having tuition. What I like so I am really enjoying facilitating the self-paced courses, even though as a student I would hate it. As the facilitator, I'm enjoying it because it's 5 hours of one-on-one tuition. That's why it costs more, is because we have to find 5 hours in our diaries for the clinical.
Is it 4 for the community?
Yeah. But it is so fun. I really enjoy it. It's an hour of just talking to this person and talking like all about their situation, all about everything they've learned and everyone loves it. I can't wait to start getting the feedback forms back. It's going to be great. So people love it. They love the course. They love the content. They're working through it. They're training the dogs. It's great.
Is that our most popular study method now?
Yeah. We've discussed canning everything else because it's bringing the numbers down in the group courses, and I've got to pay staff to run the group courses without the numbers there. So we have discussed canning the group courses, but we're not going to do that for 2024. We'll keep that on the back burner because I really enjoy, and people really enjoy, like I said, I would need to be in a group course as a student. Accountability too. Yep. Scheduled, log on at this time. You are meant to be here. Where are you? Like you need to hand this in. We are doing, so you do your worksheets, like you do them as a group and stuff like that. Like you need to get this done. That's now.
Fun, actually. I like
it's so fun. Yeah. And so we put them in little groups and breakout rooms, and they discuss their stuff, and you meet people, and it's group learning. Like it's people love it. But it's a time commitment, and that time commitment is a financial commitment because it's time off work. So I think that's why people like the self-paced option, because they can do it on Saturday, or Sunday or whatever, nighttime or whatever they do.
Yeah, they're not sacrificing work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we need to do, and the intensives people like because it's on school holidays. So people can do them on the school holidays. So we get a lot of teachers in the intensives. And that works well for them. So we want to try and have as much on offer as possible. And for 2024, we will continue to do that. But far out, man, I spend a lot of time doing tuition now, like a lot of time doing
It's
tuition.
only going to grow, I think, as well.
Yeah, people
Same.
are enjoying that
popular
delivery, whatever method thing, mode, whatever. So yeah, and I enjoy it too. So although sometimes I'll do like 2 or 3 clinical module 2 tuitions in a day, and I'm like, oh, I've had this conversation a few times today. But it's also handy, like if you're the second or third person, I'll be like, oh, do you know what? I spoke to someone else this morning and they had this idea, they were talking about this. So it's fun. It is fun. I really enjoy going through the content one-on-one with people. I think that, yeah, it's cool to see what they're like. You can kind of hide a bit in the group until we check your worksheets later.
Yes. Yeah.
You can kind of hide away a little bit, So you need to make a decision based off how you learn. So which you choose, which course you choose. How do you best learn? Be honest with yourself. Like I'm saying, like self-paced would be great because then I could, do it on the weekend, but I'm not going to do it on the weekend. I'm not the type of person that's going to do that. So that would be lying to myself. If I was honest with myself, I would have to say I'll probably do the intensive. Honestly, that's probably what I would do.
How do people book the courses?
So you can book online via the online store, or if you need an invoice because a third party's paying, you can just contact us and let us know what you're doing. There's an application form. Yeah, via email. courses@therapydog.com.au or info@therapydog.com.au. If you need a third party invoice, you need to let us know. But I much prefer, like, we do waste a lot of time on admin of people that say that they're booking courses and then they never pay for them. And we've already done like quite a bit of admin. So I prefer people just book them online. But I do recognize, like, we can't remove that other option because we do recognize that people need third party payers and stuff, which is fine. If you're a tire kicker, just go do that somewhere else because it really does. It costs us so much time and money. People that aren't, like, they book into courses but they don't pay or attend. Yeah. It does cost us a lot of time with, following people up and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that's all just part of it, but it is very time consuming. There's an application form on the website. Fill that in. That'll come to us. We will be in touch with you if we've got any concerns about the application form. So yeah, you're free to just go ahead and book online on the website. That's very easy to do it that way, and it secures your place as well because those places are limited on there. So there's like an inventory on the website. The other thing, so you got to choose typical, intensive, or self-paced. You're going to choose clinical or community. People often ask, so what's involved in the course? So the delivery method there was no face-to-face delivery method anymore. We used to do it face-to-face. It was far more stressful for people and dogs, especially because we are jamming like a whole day worth of stuff. Your dog doesn't need to be sat around with you all day while we teach you this stuff. So that's the kind of, like, the dog part that should be done in bite-sized chunks over months, not over 5 days with them sitting in a room with you. We definitely find that this is a better fit for the dogs. The courses themselves are primarily theory. So it's your animal-assisted therapist theory training, and you can finish that course and get a certificate, even if you don't go ahead and assess your dog. So during the course, you might find, oh, this dog's not suitable, or something happens to the dog or whatever. We will give you, as long as you finish all your assignments, we'll give you a certificate that says that you've done animal assisted therapist training. You just don't get the dog certified.
That's
as
great,
well.
because that means if someone comes back with another dog that is suitable,
That's
they don't
exactly
need to
what
redo
happens.
the training. They
Yeah,
just have
that's
to go
exactly
straight
what
in.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
cool.
they just, like, I've got a few at the moment, where something's happened to the dog, or the dog's not suitable or whatever. And they've gone, okay, I'm just going to get my certificate of completion because I'm getting a different dog and I'm going to bring that dog back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That's easy. So yeah, definitely. That's a great, we want to encourage people to make those choices for their dogs. Like if your dog's not suitable, like that, but the course is primarily the handler, the animal assisted therapist training. So when it's delivered online, it's delivered with a combination of pre-recorded lectures, and if you're doing the group training, there'll be discussions. So you'll be logging in. So you'll log in at 9 a.m. every day, and if you're in the community course, you'll log out at 3. Or you need to be available until 3. If you're in the clinical course, you need to be available until 4:30, because it takes longer. So sometimes it's shorter days because we might have smaller numbers in your group or whatever, but it's never longer than that. So during that time, you'll get given, okay, so this is the lecture to watch, and this is the worksheet activity to complete. Sometimes you'll complete that worksheet while you're watching the lecture, and then you'll come back and share your ideas either in a large group or in a small group. And sometimes it'll be, okay, so here's this content, and now we're going to workshop these ideas as a group or a small group. So what that means is it's active PD, because you're being assessed. So all those worksheets, particularly, they get marked. So they're either satisfactory or not satisfactory. So they don't get marked out of like A, B, C. It's not like that.
That's
but
good.
They do get, yeah. Where they're there to make sure that you've understood what's presented in the information, which makes it active PD. So that means that you can count a fair bit of active PD for your industry, whatever you're in. The other thing is, Amy and I are both board approved supervisor, like we're supervisor trained. So, which, doesn't really matter for a lot of stuff. Mostly it's just matters for provisionals. But when you do your tuition hours, particularly your self-paced tuition hours, you'll be able to count all those hours of supervision as well, because we're primarily discussing the clinical content of the course. Like there'll be some discussion, we'll help you with the dog as well, but it's primarily going to be about managing clients and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a great, make sure you make note of the hours, that you're doing and stuff like that, because you can count them, and factor that into your PD budget as well. So that you're getting the most out of it.
When students when they've done their course, and they want to come back and say retrain a second dog, can they access those materials later on?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
so they can come and revisit and have a refresh in their brain and go, let's just cool.
Yeah. And I mean, we do supervision, we do group supervision every month, but we do supervision anyway. So like lots of people come back and book a little bit of supervision, just to brush up on some stuff as well, which is, we're totally available for that. And secondary, I do secondary supervision for provisionals as well. So some provisionals have, come along and done the course and then jumped on as secondary supervisor, so that they can do some animal assisted supervision throughout their internship as well, because
Awesome.
they have to do a lot of supervision. So yeah, I don't even know how many I've done that for over the years, but it's a few, which is great. Love it. Really good. The dog training element of the courses. So you're going to do all the theory stuff, and the courses are primarily theory. The dog training element, what people enjoy that we didn't used to do, but we have been doing for quite a while, is once you have paid and enrolled in your course, you get access to the dog training video library, which means that you can start working with your dog and preparing them before your course, which is great. You can also continue preparing the dog. So we're going at the pace of the dog. So it doesn't matter. Whereas back in the day when it was all face-to-face, it used to be like, day 5, I hope you're going to graduate with your dog because you're driving back to New South Wales this afternoon. So whereas now we do it by video, so it doesn't matter. So it's so much less stressful for everybody involved, including me. And we can just go at the pace of the dog, pace of the handler. But basically, we've got a video library, and you're going to watch, there's all these instructional videos on how we get our dogs to do certain things. During the group courses, you will record yourself doing 2 activities with your dog each week, approximately, of our training activities, and we watch them as a group. And so it takes about an hour and a half to get through everybody's videos, depending on how many people we've got in the group. But it's group learning for your dog training stuff as well. So
That's
we do that.
Helpful. Yeah.
It is really helpful. Like we just had dog school on Monday night, and more people had videos prepared, and like the other people that didn't have videos were like, oh, thanks for bringing videos, guys. It's like really handy. Yeah. We'll talk about that. But the idea is that we're helping you, we're giving you feedback on training the dogs along the way, but you can access that feedback before your course starts in dog school. So if you've got, I'll talk about what dog schools we've got in a moment, but you can be training your dog before your course starts, during the course, and after the course finishes, which you can do with the training library alone, or you can do with the training library plus dog school class, plus you can get individual tuition as well, which some people choose to do. It's more expensive, but some people choose to do that, which is available also if you just want a bit of extra help. That's fine. So self-paced guys, it's a really similar deal that they just have for their 1 hour of tuition that they do per module, where we just, make sure there's no gaps in learning and they've understood everything, and they ask questions and they get to, it's all about them. We watch their dog videos then as well. So we give the feedback on how those activities are going with the dogs. But there's no like stress or pressure. So when people finish their class, their groups, or their self-paced modules, we try and say like 3 months, get your assessments in, like your dog assessments in. But if you can't, like sometimes people's like houses flood and whatever, like just chaos, man. Life is
happens.
just chaos.
Yeah.
So we're not really hell bent on that, but I do believe that the longer you leave it, you probably won't do it. So I think 3 months is really reasonable. And if I'd ask people to just send us an email if it gets to 3 months and they haven't done it, and let us know where they're up to, which is really just so that they can bring it back to their front of mind, like I said, I'm a deadline girl, so I would never hand in my assessments ever. So I did a TAFE diploma when I straight out of high school because I was too dumb to get into uni. Unfortunately, I had to change my preferences because I didn't do any work in high school. Damn it. So then I had to go
not alone.
I did nothing in high school, but have fun. I had a great time. When I went to TAFE, I did a diploma of community welfare work, and I didn't do any of the assignments for the whole 2 years until the last 2 weeks.
What, and then you handed all of them in the oh my goodness, did you sleep? Were you
it's
pulling
TAFE.
all
They weren't
liners?
hard.
Oh,
They weren't hard. I should have just done them, but I was too busy having fun. Best 2 years of my life was when I was at TAFE. I had the best time. I went most of the time. I went. But I didn't do anything. I did learn some stuff, but not really. I enjoyed my placements. But yeah, I handed like, I would have to say like 80% of the work in the last 2 weeks because it was a
that
deadline.
would
They just didn't enforce any
stress
deadlines.
me out. I could never do that. I'm the one that hands in assignments early.
What?
Yeah, I just handed in my latest assignment. It's due on Monday, and I handed it in yesterday. I was like, I'm just gonna get that done.
What?
Feels so good. I'm like chasing that feeling of like not having to think about it.
What? No.
Opposite.
No. What you do is you just live your life and then you just live your life and do whatever you want. And then you find out about something that's got to be done immediately and you just quickly get it done. And then you just go back to living your life. You should see all these post-it notes. I've got post-it notes up all over. I live my entire life off of post-it notes
Really?
because I remember things and
and
they just get stuck. Yeah. I get them, they're all stuck places. And I'm like,
do they all come off?
No.
Eventually?
No.
You just collect.
The other thing you'll see me writing, I keep books. And so I just write things down like that have got to be done in the books. I've got multiple books up here, they're full. Listen, once it's written down and I've turned the page, it's not often I'm going back looking at the pages. Like, I found this page in one of the books. I found this page in one of the books that I thought, there's got some pretty good ideas on there. And I ripped it out of the book.
And you placed it in another book and it's
just sitting on the desk. Been there for like 2 months.
Your ideas pile.
This was our couple of training things we were going to develop. So
you might need some sticky
TDA.
tape. That can be a giant post-it note on the wall.
Just stick that up there. What's on the back? I know that's fine. Yeah. So
each to their own. Yep.
Each to their own. It's one of those, this is why I keep coming back to like trying to have these options available for people so that our learning opportunities are more inclusive. And I try to remember these things. So, like and some of our students are like you, Max, like they get their stuff in so fast. I'm like, how's this person even got all this stuff done? Like, what? But they do. They just get right in there and get it done. And I'm like, good on them. But yeah, but for those of us who aren't like that, I think having a deadline's a good idea.
So yeah, it does help. Definitely.
It does help. When I was doing my NDTF course, I took off Wednesday mornings. I had to do that for must be nearly a year. And that was my dog training certificate time. Like I had to do that. Otherwise there was no way I was going to get it done. No way. And I wouldn't have, but they had deadlines. So I was okay. But yes. So we're very aware. So if anyone's listening to this still, if you've got a different learning method than what we have already discussed, hit us up. Let us know, because there are people that I have done some pretty different stuff for. There's quite maybe a big handful of people that I've done some really, like, we don't offer that kind of thing, but because that person has needed that to get them over the line, then I, will do XYZ differently with them. So an example of that would be people that have handed in bits and pieces of things and I've given them feedback along the way and blah, blah, those kinds of things where, we've spent a lot of time together and worked together on, getting things across the line, because the team can do it.
Nice. Yeah.
The team can do it. And actually I got an update from one last week where we really worked together to get over the line. And yeah, I got an update and it's very cute. Actually, I haven't sent it to you yet, Max. I'm going to put it on the socials. It's very, very cute.
Aww.
So yeah, very sweet. So yeah, I'm keen on that. Keen to do that sort of stuff as much as we can. People ask about how do we train the dogs. We do have a whole podcast on online dog training. Does it work? It's in season 1 and it is number season 1, episode 6, 25th of October 22, where we talk to Heidi, who does online dog training as well. And yeah, if you're not sure, have a listen to that and think, like, you know, you can talk to us about whether or not how does online dog training actually work. You'll find that more and more dog trainers are offering online courses. I'm seeing them popping up all the time.
Popping up. Yeah.
So many popping up. Some genius must have just blazed a pathway. And I don't know, like.
Are you talking about yourself?
No. It's actually Heidi. Heidi's had online dog training for ages. Actually, I think she talks about it in that podcast.
Yeah,
she had it for ages and people were like, you're an idiot. And she was like, she just wanted to live her life with her kids and do what she wanted to do. And it's boomed. Like, she actually was Heidi. Like, actually, when COVID happened and we put all our courses online, I was like, Heidi does it.
Yeah, you measured. Yeah.
Well, Heidi does it, so obviously you must be able to do it because I know her and I know that she's a fantastic dog trainer. So I'm like, well, if Heidi's doing it, yeah, she must be, pretty good. Must be possible, especially during COVID when people wanted something to do anyway. So listen to that podcast because we go into it in quite a bit of detail and you'll notice like more and more dog training stuff popping up online. So yes, it can be done. And we will support you through that. The things that we have done to help include adding our dog school, which is on Monday nights. That we might need to increase that, Max, because
really,
so puppy school isn't as popular for classes because the puppies grow out of the class.
Yeah,
like
there's such a short space of time.
It's a short period. Yeah. So there's usually lower numbers in there. It's not fully booked, but adolescent school is full all the time. So
yeah, the times I've logged in, I've gone, whoa,
pretty full. And our adolescent school goes from 4 months to 12 months. So we're not getting rid of them anytime soon. So and we've got like people that are at it's fortnightly. We've got people that are at every class.
Are you thinking weekly? Is that what you're?
I think we might have to do it weekly. Yeah. But I want to do puppy school weekly because those dogs that age need that level of support. The adult school isn't as popular yet, but it goes through phases. So if you're enrolled in the courses, you can book into those adult dog training school. So it's 7:00 Australian Eastern Standard Time, Brisbane time, on fortnightly on Mondays. 7:00? Yeah, 7:00.
Yeah.
So what people are doing, so our self-paced guys, but also our group training guys, is they're enrolling for their courses, watching videos, practicing with their dogs, attending those classes. They do cost you $20, those ones, if you're an adult dog. And then they are seeing other people's videos, but also getting feedback on their own videos. So people that are training the dog for the first time, but we've also got people that are doing their reassessments are coming back and jumping on.
Clever.
And we're
very clever.
Smart. Especially because they're not very popular yet. So
you get a lot of time.
I think it's
sometimes
you pay $20 and I sit there with you for an hour
for the hour,
watch a lot of your assessment videos. Yeah. So which is great for you. She's not that good of a business decision for me. luckily I enjoy it. So, it took me a while. Have I talked about this podcast yet? It took me a while to get into the classes because Caitlin was doing them.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
how she selfishly had that baby?
How dare she?
Selfishly had that baby. And now I have to do the dog classes. But I'm obsessed now. So it just took me a while to adjust to working on the Monday night. That's, something that was because I have a big day on Mondays. And I do all sorts of things, including psychology clients and, training courses and stuff like that. So it's a big day, but I've adjusted. So, and I really enjoy puppy school and adolescent school and adult school the same. So, yeah, puppy school is funny because everybody's lives are being destroyed by a puppy.
It is pretty funny. It's
funny.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. They're like, this is all the things that the puppy has done to me this week. And I'm like, yes, they will. They will do those things. And it's making me not want a puppy.
Yeah, like, I'm happy.
Remember.
Yeah.
They are a nightmare. But they're so cute.
They are.
So that's lucky.
That's another thing, just like the adults class though, like we just said before, where you will probably get quite a bit of attention at the moment anyway. One-on-one attention.
Sarah's got a puppy. She's in our puppy class at the moment. I reckon I've done 3 classes with just Sarah. It's just me, Max, and Sarah having a chat about her dog. Pretty funny. And just also about everything else in life.
Yes.
Just chatting, which is really cool.
Yeah,
it's a great time. Yeah, it's really cool. So, and those are free. So your puppy, if you are considering what courses to do and you're just looking at our website and going like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? You don't have to do puppy school and adolescent school and then do a clinical or community course. But some people are finding us early enough that they can do all 3. There's a package for puppy and adolescent. So usually the puppy school is $250 and you get, it's like a webinar. I can't remember how long it is. Puppy training videos, which I've got a puppy coming this weekend for Father's Day.
Cute.
I know.
Hang on, is it Sage?
It's a puppy. No, we should organize that. No, I'm kind of puppy coming for Farm's Day, and it's a little puppy dog, and they've ticked on their form that I can use videos. So there's going to be a lot of puppy content. Spam. Yes. Yay. I'm pretty excited. So why did I say that? What was I talking about? Oh, puppy school. There's puppy videos. There's puppy training videos, and there's the webinar, and you get access to puppy school until your puppy is 16 weeks old for free, included in that cost. So it's free, but you've paid for it really in your puppy program thing, but you don't have to do the classes. Lots of people just buy the program and wing it from there, which is fine.
It's a lot of information.
There's heaps of information in there and the videos and stuff, and we're all busy, so I get it. Some people are probably buying it, their puppy's probably already 12 weeks old or whatever, Then we got the adolescent package, also $250. There's like 4 hours of webinars in that. And you get full access to our entire adult dog training library, which is what people get when they enroll in the courses. So you get the whole thing. Again, terrible business decision for me, but great for you.
Insane value.
Couldn't be bothered making a third library. So you get the full thing. So if you're listening to this in 5 years' time, I may have changed that. I might have gotten around to changing that. But for now, you get the whole library.
As of September 2023.
That's right. You get the whole library. Get in quick. Never know when I'm going to get organized. Yes, you do know. There's no deadline, so it's never. So if you watch your 4 hours of webinars. You've got the whole dog training library, but you've also got access to the adolescent classes, which currently are fortnightly, but I think we will have to make them weekly because they're so busy, until your dog's 12 months old. So essentially from 16 weeks old to 12 months old, you can have your dog in adolescent school. And that's all included in that price for $250. Plus, we made a package, it's $375 for both, instead of being like $500. Would be $500? Yeah. Yeah, $250, $500. It's $375. So cheap. And then you get to spend a fair bit of time, because I'm doing the classes now. I'm not going to give these Monday night classes back to Caitlin when she comes back. First of all, she made a decision to have a baby. So doesn't know this. Have I told her? No, I wouldn't have. But we might be able to get Caitlin to do like a week, the opposite fortnight, and do an adolescent class. Do you know what I mean? So then we can increase the classes.
Yes. Yeah.
When she is back fully off her maternity leave. Because I'm enjoying the Monday night classes. It's worked its way into my schedule now. So to stop doing them,
Feels natural.
It would be another transition. So unfortunately, that's not going to be able to be possible. So that's stuck with me forever. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So you can do the puppy and adolescent classes. And I think you should, if your dog is less than 12 months old, even if you're enrolling in the community or clinical course, which you can, so we're going to talk about that in a second, but the webinar, even if you're not going to do the classes, which you don't have to, who cares, but the webinar, I think, does have, because some people ask me, because the dog's like 9 months old, and I'm like, they are very much in the middle of their adolescent period. I do think that the webinar would be helpful. I do think it's helpful.
It covers topics from the younger side all the way through to the older side.
I think it's really important to understand adolescence in dogs. I do think it's really important. Like, it's such a critical time. It's like adolescence in humans. It's a really critical time. So I do think it's worth understanding. Some weird behaviors pop up, and they don't have to be forever behaviors. So understanding those behaviors, understanding just management techniques, a lot of environment management stuff.
Sam, do you think the bulk of common issues in dogs arises in this time period?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's also another reason why if there was ever a time for that kind of support.
I would go as far as saying it would be unusual for an adult dog to develop a problem.
Yeah, because they're quite set in their ways by a certain age.
About two. Yeah. About 2. I think I've mentioned before, but I put 2 years into a dog. So I don't buy dogs closer than 2 years apart. Did I say that right? So because I think it takes 2 years to get a dog right. I got to put 2 years into focus into them. And puppies are a pain in the ass, and adolescent dogs need a lot of work.
Full on.
So I do 2 years for them. So Nala's 3, which means technically I could get another dog, but I do puppy school. So now obviously I'm never getting another puppy ever again. Which reminds me every week. I'm like, oh man, so much work.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
But then I've got this puppy coming for farm stay. So who knows? Maybe I'll just, do you know what? I nearly bought those goats we talked about.
And
where am I going to put them? I think they can jump every single fence.
I think they can. Yeah. You probably I think they need to have sort of an enclosure.
They have to have a roof. I feel like every time I've seen goats, they don't have a roof, but I've also heard that they can jump out of every single fence. Why?
They climb everything. Maybe do they roam? I don't know anything about
what
goats.
Do they eat? I think we're going to have a drought this year. Is it wise to get goats? But they're so cute. They're so cute. There's baby goats. You can buy baby goats off Gumtree. There's heaps on there. Bottle fed ones.
They're very cute.
What if I just got a couple of goats? What's the worst that could happen?
I'm going to be fully supportive of this.
My neighbours want goats to go through their property and eat everything because it's a bush block and they
Well,
are
there
not
you
allowed to
go.
clear it.
There you
So
go.
if they get out, they'll just go and visit Lisa and Phil.
Got their job lined up already.
And they could wear collars with like a little bell on it. And I would know where they are. I could put little trackers on them like the dogs. I'll get a little notification. Hey, the goats are out.
Billy's gone
Uh-oh.
next door.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Hope the dingoes don't get them. See, what about the dingoes as well?
Yeah, actually, that might be your
I could lock them in a stable at night time.
tricky point.
But then I'd have to clean the stable every day. I lock the horses out of there so I don't have to clean it. They don't need it. It's for emergencies.
It looks pretty.
It's for hospitalization of
quarantine.
horses. It's not for daily. They just walk in there and poo and then walk out. I'm like, get out. Get out of here.
Their token visit.
Yeah, literally. And their stable yard. I've got a yard and the stable. So I just walk in there. And if you leave it open, it's full of poo. I'm like, why are you walking here to poo?
They just want some privacy.
What are you doing? Anyway, forgot what we're talking about. So you don't have to do all that stuff. You can just book in for the community or clinical courses. Especially if you're a bit of a dog nerd, you're a bit savvy. Don't worry about that other stuff. Unless you're interested, like I don't know if I'd get around to watching 4 hours of webinars, but
yeah, you probably want to break it up.
Yeah, for sure. You could listen to it while you're driving. It's that kind of content. There's a slideshow that goes with it, obviously, but you could do a lot of it. Yeah, it would a lot of it would make sense while you're driving. Without the visuals. So
the other thing, actually, can I interject, is I think we've mentioned this in a previous podcast, but those that are in the adolescent program who are keen to sort of get training with our bigger courses as they go along can actually start their self-paced course ahead of time.
Yeah, I feel like and we need to maybe make that clearer on the website as well. So it's a good idea to make it really clear here that we used to not have adult dog. We used to not have classes. We didn't have dog school. So we didn't have a way to support you with your dog training outside of the 5 days we would spend with you in your course, apart from one-on-one tuition, which is expensive. So it was a lot more important that the dogs were at least 9 months old to do the courses. We can't graduate a therapy dog until they're 12 months old. That's irresponsible. They're just babies, so we don't want dogs less than 12 months working as therapy dogs. So, like we're seeing puppies in schools and stuff. It's a great way to accidentally flood your dog and shorten their career if it gets us kickstart at all. I can't tell you how many, it's still happening, how many dogs come through that have already been in a school before they've done any training and before they're 12 months old that are failing their temperament assessments. Can't tell you. It keeps happening. So I know it's really tempting. And I'm not here to say that no one can do whatever with their young dog. It's none of my business what you do with your dog. But just be very, very aware of the risks of accidentally flooding the dog and accidentally causing them to have an aversion to your workplace setting, because we see that all the time. And I should say we probably see other dogs be okay with it as well. So, but I think it's a very tricky. It's risky. And unless you're a full-blown dog nerd and you know what's going on for your dog and you've got a lot of control over the environment that they're in and X, Y, Z, I wouldn't my advice is always just don't do it. Just don't do it, because it's very hard to get it right. But if people are getting it right, great. We just need to be aware that it's a lot for a young dog. And if you're interested in that, listen to the podcast, the second podcast with Tamara, which is season 2, episode 9. It's called Insights from a Breeder and Puppy Development and Ethical Breeding, but it talks quite a lot about the socialization period of young dogs and things like that. So if you're interested to learn more about that, listen to that one. The other podcast to listen to is season 1, episode 3, Don't Make This Common Mistake, Taking Puppies into Schools Too Young. That's a lovely lady who offered to tell us her story after we found out her story during her course. I wish I had a podcast for every person who has got this exact same story.
Much. Yeah.
I'd have a lot of podcast content.
Yeah.
But obviously it's something that people don't really want to talk about a lot of the time. So yeah, listen to those 2 podcasts. If you're thinking about what to do with your young dog in terms of, taking them to workplaces and stuff like that. So because we now have dog school, and because your course, the reason we want a dog to be 9 months old is because to get value for money in terms of dog training feedback for your dog, we're not asking a 6-month-old dog to do very much. The foundations are happening, but we're not asking much of a puppy. So if you were doing the courses when your dog was 6 months old, then the activities that we were giving you, even though they are the same activities, they would be at a much lower level of expectation of the dog, which means that you're only going to get feedback on how to do this with a 6-month-old dog, which is going to be different to a 12-month-old dog. So the reason we were saying have your dog sort of between 9 to 12 months to do course was so that you got value for money while you're doing the course, that we were giving you enough feedback. And then we'd already given people the dog training libraries if they had registered months in advance, which people used to do, which they don't do now. They would register like the week before. So you already had all that time to practice with the dog training video library anyway. But what has changed this year is we've got the dog school. So now if you want to do the course when your dog is younger, you can, because what it's going to do is get all your theory out of the way. So it is primarily theory. Do your videos. So when you do your dog training videos during the course, you'll do your videos at the level that your dog's at. So whether they're 8 months old, 9 months old, 10 months old, whatever, you'll do the videos at the level that they're at. And then you can get extra help in your dog schools on Monday nights if you can need
share the videos.
Yeah. So I think we're a forever evolving machine. So I think it's important that we keep getting the information updated, which is hard to do because there's information everywhere. I've really learned that in the last week and a half of doing the admin. So I need to go through all our email templates and read them and update them, because
check them all.
We change stuff all the time to make it better. Like even so, the self-paced tuition booking, I've made a Google Calendar. I figured out how to make a Google Calendar, and it puts stuff on the website. You can't book it on there. Putting online booking on the website's a nightmare. So it is a nightmare. I would have to physically go in and update our diaries, but your diary has to be the same every week. I just can't do it, because I fit people in around my psychology client cancellations and reschedules and stuff. Nightmare. So what we have done is, for tuition times for the self-paced guys with myself, Amy and Caitlin, they're in this Google Calendar, and it is a bit of a muck around, but you can go on the members page, the members only page, view the times that are available. Then you have to email courses to secure your times. But it does save emailing backwards and forwards 50,000 times with Emily to go, is there any Tuesdays coming up? You know, it's at least you can look at the calendar.
Simpler.
Hopefully one day our email hosting thingy has a better option available, but it doesn't right now. So, or I don't know how to use it, which is probably more so the case, but whatever. That's what we've got for now. But how I've updated that. That's like maybe in the last couple of weeks I figured out how to do that. But the email template doesn't say that. So I'm like, to people, I'm like, oh yeah, just look on the website. And they're like, oh, I didn't know about that. And I'm like, oh, that's because I didn't tell you. Oh yes. No, I didn't tell anybody. It's a secret. So
surprise.
Ta-da! So you can do that. So yeah, self-paced guys, if you're listening, you can jump on the members page of the website and book on there. I know everything we do is clunky. It's because we don't really know what we're doing. So just bear with us. We're figuring it out along the way in terms of all this technological side of things. So just hang in there with us, especially while Emily's on holidays, but she's obviously back next week and is never going on holidays ever again. So.
She's not allowed ever.
Caitlin's not having any more babies. Emily's never going on holidays ever again. This is a nightmare.
Oh goodness.
Classic. Yeah, so I think, we've got those programs. Reassessments, people ask about reassessments. Yes, you need to reassess every 12 months. When we finalize your graduation with your dog, what you get to do is you get a certificate. No, it's not a formal accreditation. I don't believe there's formal accreditation in Australia at this stage. There may be, I don't check it every day. Our course, think of it more as like a professional development workshop to give you these skills. When you're looking at what level of training do you need to do, the way that we typically decide that is from your regulatory bodies, your workplace, and your insurance company. So the only people that we can get an answer from is the insurance company. So our regulatory bodies haven't mandated a certain level of training. Would be very difficult for them to do because I don't think it exists. I don't think accreditation exists. I know that there are places that are calling courses certain words that would indicate that kind of thing, but it's not the case. So there's not like a so think of it like a PD workshop, and like I said, it's all going to be active PD and supervision and stuff. Check with your insurance company. So we're all insured, like we're all insured with what training we've got. My insurance company is happy with what we do. So your workplace should be happy. We don't, at Therapy Dogs Australia, we don't place you. So if you're a volunteer or you want to do animal assisted activities, we don't place you into facilities. You can place yourself into facilities, because what will happen is you'll do the course, graduate with your dog, and then you will be able to buy your own insurance. So it'll be a public liability and professional indemnity insurance. And then you can contact facilities and show them that you've got a certificate that's valid, because it will have an expiry date on it. You'll have a valid certificate and you'll have your insurance, and you'll be able to show that to the facilities. And you'll probably need things like yellow cards and stuff like that, which we don't handle. But yeah, so be aware of all of that. So it does mean that we don't really have much to do with the teams, apart from how much they want to have to do with us. Once they graduate, we don't tell you what to do and where to go and stuff like that. So you're an independent entity once, we just provide the training. So if you're looking for something different to that, I think there are companies that do things a bit differently and they place you in facilities and stuff like that. It's a bit less flexibility, but a bit more probably connectedness in terms of the relationship with the training organisation moving forward, in terms of them monitoring you and stuff like that. They would do a lot more of that, I would imagine. So you will reassess every 12 months. Usually we do reserve the right to give you a shorter reassessment period if we think you need it. So if there's any concerns that have been highlighted during the assessment, so, you know, whether it's the obedience and manners isn't looking fabulous, or the temperament or health of the dog or whatever, sometimes we'll give people a shorter reassessment period, which just depends. It's not often, but it does happen.
And it's only to keep everyone safe too. So
yeah, it's it's like another deadline. It's just a check-in time, you know, to go, okay, so this, usually what happens is we go, this looks okay right now, but I don't have a lot of confidence about how this is going to look in 10 months time. So I'd like to see you in 6 months time so we can check how things are going. And we do that with the teams that need it. There are teams that need a bit more monitoring and supervision along the way, and another deadline before 12 months to keep working on stuff. And that's what keeps the dogs and the clients safe. So that's the whole idea behind that. What else do people ask all the time, Max? 2024 dates are coming.
No, the courses don't allow for public access rights.
No, they don't.
That's for specific assistance dogs, not even all assistance dogs. That's a very frequent question.
Yeah. No, we won't train facility dogs. So I won't train a dog that belongs to a school or something like that. I've seen it go badly in the past, and I'm not going to be a part of it. So we don't train assistance dogs, and we don't train facility dogs. The dogs that we train need to be working with their owner. Generally speaking, we'll accept a secondary sort of handler if they've got a very good relationship with the dog. We've seen facility dogs be handed around, and it has had a very detrimental impact on the dog, and there's nothing we can do about that. So because we're not a regulatory body, we can't tell people what to do. And so I've just made the decision that we're not going to be a part of the facility dog thing, because I've seen it go so poorly for the dogs.
We also get I've had quite a few DMs from people asking about if they have an assistance dog for one of their kids and they still want to train the dog up to be a therapy dog as well. That's also not
I do get asked that question all the time. And yeah, like Max said, no. The answer for me is no. The reason for that is because being an assistance dog is a big job for a dog. So if your job as a dog is to assist a human being with a disability, whether you're alerting to diabetic highs or lows or seizures, or providing deep pressure therapy when someone's having an anxiety attack, panic attack, you might be tethered to a young child to stop them from running away, whatever it is that your job is as the assistance dog, it's a big job, and it's usually more than a couple of hours a day. The dog's supposed to be typically with the person that they're assisting like a lot.
Full time.
So yeah, pretty much I'd have to say it would be full time. I know kids go to school and can't take their dogs, but a lot of the time. So the dogs are working pretty hard as an assistance dog. So reason number one, why would we give that dog a second job to do when they've already got such a big job to do? And it's, you know, that if someone's got an assistance dog, it's supposed to be the case that they really, really need that dog and they couldn't do what they need to do in their day-to-day life without the dog. So I don't know why we would give that dog another job. It's already working very hard. The other thing is assistance dogs are trained to focus on their handler or the person they're assisting and ignore everything else. This might come as a surprise, but we actually teach therapy dogs to do the exact opposite of that. So to my mind, I don't think it's fair that we ask the dog to know that sometimes they have to ignore everyone. and, you know, not engage in their environment. But sometimes we want them to initiate interactions with everybody in their environment.
That'd be so confusing.
Surely that would be so confusing. Surely.
And just very exhausting, very draining. Like,
You know,
how's the dog juggle?
How's the dog know? You know,
yeah.
like,
yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
So it's just a no from me. You might find someone else that will do it. And that's got to be a decision that they make about that, and a decision that you as the dog owner makes about how often are you working this dog. You know, if their job is to be an assistance dog to someone, that's pretty much a full-time job. So what else are you asking this dog to do? What other buckets does this dog need to fill? And
you'll end up with a very cooked dog.
How are you filling the dog's bucket to replenish everything that the dog is giving of itself? You know, I just think that's a lot. It's a lot. So the answer to that is no. What else do people ask us?
Let me just have a look.
We're not going back to face-to-face training. We would have to buy a facility, and we would only be able to help local teams. So
what are we looking for in a therapy dog?
We are looking for dogs that are happy, confident, like meeting new people. I'm not a fan of dogs that need time to warm up. The reason for that is because I describe that as like giving an introverted human an extrovert's job. And I think if your dog takes time to warm up to people every time they meet people, that's a lot of times that the dog is having to work through that level of discomfort each day that they are being a therapy dog. And I don't think that that's wise on the dog. We do find some dogs, you know, like once they habituate to their workplace, so if they go to the same workplace all the time, that they aren't like that. You know, it might just be if you take them somewhere new. So we are aware of that for temperament assessments. So make sure that you let us know if that's the case with your dog, where they might be a bit different, but once they've gotten used to the place. We've done assessments with dogs that we've been like, this doesn't seem suitable. And then we go to the workplace and they've been a lot more comfortable, you know, and they've been fine.
We're very case by case, aren't we?
So case by case.
Like, don't stress. Case by case. Yeah, we're not going to lump anyone into some big category.
Oh, I wish we were more black and white.
More efficient.
Yeah, it would be a lot faster. But it's not. So, and people aren't black and white and dogs aren't black and white. So we do try and problem solve stuff as much as we can. But in saying that, I'm not just going to get every team over the line. That's not happening. We fail teams. So if the dog's not suitable and the handler's not suitable, it's just not happening. So, and I mean, there's been a recent case in the media of what can go wrong when, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know the situation of, you know, this dog at a school that's bitten someone on the face. You can Google it if you want to have a look. It's on the ABC News. Support dog bites 6-year-old student's face at South Coast School, if you want to Google it.
I think it only came out. It was only published 2 weeks ago or something like that.
I don't know any more than what's in the article. I don't know the team. I don't know the dog. I don't know the story. But things can go wrong. So, you know, it is very important that every therapy dog training place has got standards around what we need to see from the dogs in terms of their temperament, their personality, and what we need to see from the handlers in terms of their dog skills, those hard skills where they, you know, actually, can you handle this dog? Do you understand this dog? Can you read this dog's body language? You know, can you support this dog? And can you do that while also doing your job? Because it's pretty hard to do. Every podcast that we had a guest on, they've said that. They've said it's hard to do your job and handle a dog at the same time. So, and that's not something that gets discussed enough, I feel. So it is tricky. And if we don't think that you're ready to handle your dog and the job at the same time, but there's potential there, we may pass you as a learner team, which means that you get to do on-the-job practice. But sometimes teams, the dog's not suitable. So it's just not suitable. It doesn't matter how many times we assess the dog's just not suitable. We've had dogs like that that we've assessed multiple times and they're not suitable. So for the welfare of the dog and for the outcomes of the clients that they have access with, those dogs don't graduate as therapy dogs. It's not suitable for them. So we do have to make that call. It is the best thing for your dog, and you can get as upset with me as you like. But at the end of the day, if I've said I've got some concerns about this dog, I don't think it's suitable, and then it bites someone, you know, I need for people to know that I'm not failing teams because I think it's fun or funny. It's actually very, very annoying for me to have to do. It is a nightmare for me to fail a team. It is a nightmare. It is so much admin, so much time. It's outrageous. And then I've got to handle usually, a training plan as well. I've got to speak to the dog trainer that did the assessment, come up with a plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is a lot of work, and we don't get paid for that. That's not billed to you. We don't go, here's your, we should do that actually. If you want us to help you get through, it's going to be another $500 of my time.
At least.
We don't do that. But if you're listening to this in 5 years' time, maybe I am doing that. But we don't do that now. We just try and help people. But it's a nightmare. So I'm not just passing people for fun. I'm failing people for fun. It's because there's work to be done. So keep that in mind. I don't fail a lot of teams. I think teams probably don't assess if they, I think they, by the time they finish their course, they know enough.
Oh, yeah, they make that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what you want. That's what we actually want.
So they should
make that assessment for themselves.
That's the whole idea behind the course, is that we've given people enough information to make good decisions. That's why people come back and say, I'm not doing it with this dog, but I'm getting a different dog. And can I have a graduation certificate thingy and stuff like that? It's good. It's good. That's what we want. We want that. Make good decisions. Be equipped with the information to help you make good decisions.
Oh, yeah. Yes. All right. I think we'll probably wrap it up there. For anyone that's still listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Sam.
No worries. I hope we've answered some questions. If it happens to be 12 months from this date, maybe just check in with us, because we may have evolved even further.
We'll probably be doing another one.
Yeah, with some of our programs and stuff like that. But it is September 2023 right now. So this information should be relevant for 2024. But if you're not sure, just email us, and happy to talk to you.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're interested in studying with Therapy Dogs Australia, or you have a few more questions before deciding, please get in touch with us by emailing courses@therapydog.com.au or visiting our website at www.therapydog.com.au for more information and FAQs.